We're going to get into this video with a woke human rights activist who gets a brutal reality check. I'm not going to talk anymore, so let's get into the video.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Title IX was a landmark civil rights law. It helped create the incredible breadth of women's sports and girls' sports that we see across the country. I believe in girls' sports. I believe in women's sports. I'm the proud father of 2 daughters who are both athletes. I think participating in competitive sports is a wonderful thing for a young girl. I think it is a wonderful thing for a woman. And I think, unfortunately, today's Democrat Party has decided that women's sports and girls' sports no longer matters, and they're willing to push radical legislation designed to destroy girls' sports and women's sports. Ms. Gaines, I want to thank you for your courage. You are relatively young, but you have demonstrated incredible courage. And because you have dared to speak up, you have been demonized, you have been vilified. I saw when you were attacked by a leftist mob at San Francisco State University for daring to speak up. You had an incredible record as a swimmer at the University of Kentucky. You were a 2-time NCAA All-American. You were a 5-time SEC champion. You're an SEC record holder and a 2-time Olympic trial qualifier. But yet on March 27th, 2022, something changed. What happened on March 17th, 2022?
And I think it's just sad, as I've said in other videos. It's just sad that we've come to a state in society where now the gender, the sex that is physically, in general, physically stronger than the other sex is now being able to transition to become another gender somehow, competing in women's sports now, taking over their competition and beating them at their own competition. And to go against that is seen as being a bigot or being homophobic, which is crazy to me. And it's sad that this is the state in society. It's crazy that we've come to a state in society that this is the thing that's happening, it's unbelievable.
That's when Thomas and I raced in the 200 freestyle and again resulted in a tie.
And so you tied. What was the consequence of tying?
We went behind the awards podium where typically you're handed your trophy, you're marched out, you're named an All-American. And so we go back there and the official looks at both Thomas and myself and says, "Great job, but you guys tied. And we only have 1 trophy, therefore we're giving this trophy to Leah." And I question this and I say, why? And at first I shortened it in my testimony, but really he stumbled on his words. He didn't know how to answer this. And at first he's, well, we're just doing this in chronological order. To which I further pressed, and I said, okay, well, what are you being chronological about? Because we tied. And if we're doing this off alphabetical order, G comes before T, so what are you being chronological about? To which this wasn't a script they had prepared for him. And he actually appreciated his honesty. He did say, we have to give the trophy for Leah because Leah has to have it for pictures. They've made that clear. Leah has to have the trophy for pictures. You can pose with this trophy, but you have to give yours back. You have to go home empty-handed. Leah Thomas takes the trophy home. End of story.
Now, let me ask you, as someone who's...
That is crazy. We all know the fact that they couldn't answer the question for the sake of the stunt and for the sake of siding with the woke mob. They decided to give it to the biological male, the man. That's crazy. All for the sake of being politically correct. This is how sad this society has come. They had no good reason chronologically. So basically they were just lying. They just wanted to give it because he's transitioned to a female and it's going to look good for their school. And, it's going to look good in that type of way, which is crazy.
Competed at the elite level. In your experience, is there a difference between women and men?
Of course. I think we learned this at a very young age, watching even 12 and unders play. Going through puberty causes irreversible advantage, that no matter the training, no matter the diet, no matter any alterable change you can make will overcome that male advantage, especially in sports like swimming where lung capacity matters so much. Even something as silly as throat size, men have on average a 40% larger throat, which sounds like it's nothing, but when you're grasping for air, that 40% larger throat makes a huge difference in athletic success, not to mention height. You guys know the differences.
Ms. Robinson, do you agree with Ms.?
And I totally understand where she's coming from, especially playing sports. I play football, and if it was a case that, let's say, I was a female, and then they have men coming in to play our sports, or trans people who come to play in the women's sport, yes, that would be crazy. And then they start winning you at your own sport. Being someone who's competitive, it's crazy that because people want to be politically correct, they allow that type of behavior after all the training she's done. And people who don't play sports won't really necessarily understand the type of situation that she's in. That you've trained so long, and then you have someone who you know on average is by biology, is physically stronger than you and greater in most physical aspects, and then they come into your sport and they beat you at their sport. And the competition allows that to go ahead, and they expect you to shut up and be silent.
Ms. Gaines, that there's a difference between women and men?
If the question is about trans women,
I'm just asking, is there a difference between women and men?
what I can say is that the NCAA has rules in place. They've had rules in place for the last decade, and when this competition happened,
Here we go. Answer the question. Why do they never answer the question? He asked you, is there a difference between men and women? It's a simple yes or no, but the political left do not want to ever answer questions, especially when it's a yes or no answer. There's no need for you to start going on a diatribe of whatever the precipitation from the sky and the moon is landing on in the left corner of the earth. He just asked you a yes or no question. But because you know the truth and you want to be a liar and you don't want to own up to the truth, you have to ramble on about whatever it is that she's rambling on about.
I'm going to try
the
again.
rules were clear.
Do you believe there's a difference between women and men? It's a yes/no question. Do you believe there's a difference?
Oh, I think that we're talking about this case with the NCAA.
No, I'm asking a question. Do you believe there's a difference between women and men? Most people could answer this very simply. I'm curious if you're willing to do so.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just putting it into the context of the conversation that we're having. I think that there are definitions related to sex.
Is
but
that
I
a
also
yes?
think
So I'm
that
trying to get a yes or no. I'm not trying to get a speech. Is there a difference between women and men?
I think that there are definitions for biological sex.
Okay, so you're
which
not
is
answering
different
that.
than
Let me ask
gender.
you this question then. Why do women's sports exist? If you can't define a difference between women and men, why not abolish women's sports and just tell little girls to swim with little boys and see who wins?
Oh, I'm simply
Good question. As I said, the woke mob. They're the woke. They think there's no difference between anything. And his question was valid. If there's no difference, seeing as you don't want to answer the question, why is there even a women's category and a male's category? We might as well just integrate both and have men compete with women. There's no point of even splitting the categories anymore. Seeing as you can't answer the question as to whether there's a difference between men and women, we should just put both together and they should all compete, right?
saying that that sex
My
is different
question,
than gender.
why
and I do believe
why
that
do
women's sports have a great
exist?
value. I mean, Senator, I'll tell you right
Ms.
now.
Robinson, please answer the question I'm asking you.
Absolutely.
Why do women's sports exist?
I think that there are so many positive benefits to sports.
But
I mean,
why have a
we've talked
separate
about it here
category for
today.
women? If there's no difference between women and men, why to have women's sports?
Wow.
I'm saying that there's a difference between sex and gender, and that the NCAA has rules in place, which they have for the last decade.
Mr. Chairman,
which
I would
determine
like
that
to enter into
related
the
to
record an
participation.
article from
Yeah, these people are
Duke
dumb,
Law
man.
called Comparing Athletic Performances for the Best Elite Women to Boys and Men. And it goes through examining in 2017 the top records for women in the world in various track and field events. So, for example, in the 100-meter, the top record for women in the world was 10.71 seconds. Now, that record for the number one woman in the world in 2017 was, in the year 2017, broken by 124 boys under 18 In that same year, the record for the number one
Damn.
competing woman in the 100-meter dash in the world was broken by a total of 2,474 men.
Damn.
If the radical Democrat agenda to destroy girls' sports and women's sports succeeds, little girls will not have a chance to compete. So I ask unanimous consent that this article be entered into the record.
Without objection. Senator Padilla?
Damn. There's nothing else to speak about. That tells you all we need to know about what the difference between men and women. But for some reason, she didn't want to answer the question. And it's like a common trend with all of them. They love to get a question asked themselves, and then they start rambling about anything other than to do with the question. But hey, as I've said, that's the woke mob for you. Anyway, that was another video, another reaction. As I usually say, if you enjoyed the video, like the video as much as possible. Comment down below. Let's get a discussion going down below. I'll reply to as many comments as possible. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at YinkaThatGuy. And I am out.